What's up, YouTube? It's Larry with BuyLowTrades, and today we're going to go over a few penny stocks I think have potential to explode this year in 2021. One in particular we're thinking about buying this week, so make sure that you hit the notification bell and subscribe for more daily videos. Let's get right into it. All right, guys. First ticker we're going to look at is SENS. This is Sensionic Holdings. This is a biopharmacy company, so normally it's not something that's in my wheelhouse, but this thing shot up from 40 cents all the way to $2, so had to take a look. Now, there is something that caught my eye on this one, not just the giant gap that we have to fill here, but there was actually a direct offering that came out this weekend on SENS, and I'm going to go over that now. So, Sensionic Holdings announced a $50 million registered direct offering of common stock on January 17, 2021. What's interesting to know about this is that the price of the share is going for, or the offering price is going to be $1.25 per share. What's interesting of that is we're sitting at $1.60. So assuming we see a pullback on this, this is where I might look to enter around the 125, 130 range. That's where I would see value, and that's where I'd like to get in. Now, I'm considering going long on a company like this because I like what I'm reading, and I'll show you why now, but there's a few forward-thinking statements. But this is a company I'm considering going long on, so I may want to enter and then just average down if they continue to fall. But I don't see them coming below the 125, but we'll have to take a look and see what happens on Tuesday. In this article here, SENS Stock Alert, 10 things to know before investing in Sensionics Holdings. We scroll down here, just look at some of the highlights here. I read through the article, I won't read it all to you, but what they're working on, they have a 90-day, patients can go for 90 days at a time when using the device to monitor their glucose levels. This is their Eversense CGM system. They're currently working on, Sensionics Holdings is also working on a 180-day version of the Eversense CGM system. So that's something that caught my eye just because it's something that it will bring up some PR, some news, something down the line. So that's always a plus. However, it's waiting for its approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, before it can launch their product. Its application approval was delayed due to the current focus on applications related to the novel coronavirus. Even though the company said earlier this week that it expects the application to be approved by the end of quarter 2, 2021. Now we're going to pull up the RSI. This is the RSI meter here. This is the stochastic meter here. And this is my MACD lines here. As you see, the MACD is starting to trend up. The stochastic started to trend up, and the RSI, started to trend up. Now, this thing peaked up. This is the RSI oscillator. It peaked up around 94 and bounced back down to 51 and then bounced back up. I expect, because of this offering, I expect this thing to crash on down, and then this is where I'd like to be comfortably buying, is in the lower RSIs where I know that it's oversold and there's value there to be made. And that's in case I want to make a swing trade. This is one of those ones that I consider going long on. So if I were to go long, then again, I wouldn't really time my position. Again, I like it around the 125, 130 range. But if it continued to fall, I may average down with it, or I may just build my position and let it ride for 2021 and expect hopefully some big things in the future. So that's SENS. Let's take a look at the next one. Next ticker is CYRN. We're looking at a $1.22 entry fee right now, 8% change, 57 RSI on Friday, so it wasn't overbought. This thing typically sees about 871,000 shares traded in the past 10 days. On Friday alone, it had 2.14 million, and it's in the technology services. So these numbers here is why this one caught my eye to begin with. So what I liked at first was the RSI wasn't showing that it was overbought. Once this thing hits 60, 65, 70, that's when I consider overbought. So let's take a look at this one's chart. All right, we have a 4-hour chart pulled up on CYRN. And what I like about this one, again, is that we have a strong green candle here. So I'm going to mark a few areas of support that I see. Let me get this all set up. Give a horizontal line, and let's see. So we were, let's say, about in this range. And then we were in here. But this one shot up, came back down, and failed. So we had a run up, a run down. We have a little bit of a up, a little bit of a down. Now this thing, if it were to pull back in the 98 cent range, that's where I really love this one here. And again, this is one of the things where I may start a small position, a starter position, and if it were to fall down to this area, maybe I continue buying shares depending on how large of a position I owned and how much I was willing to risk. But right now, I have the smooth moving average of a 15 and 7 day, and you see my 7 day is turned over the 15 here, crossing, signaling a buy. Now let's take a look at the RSI. The RSI, the stochastic, and the MACD. The MACD is starting to trend back in the right direction. The stochastic is turning its way up, and the RSI currently is kind of neutral. I'd like to see this thing have an upward movement, but again, it has plenty of room. It could go here, but it could also go here. If it goes here, a lot of people are making money. Now, that's the RSI. What I'd like to see is this thing pull back, maybe start an entry position around $1.10 to $1.13, right around here. Looks like there's a lot of buying power. You see these candles down here, or this graph down here. This is showing the buying power. So there's a lot of buying power here. There's a lot of buying power here. So that means to me, that's telling me that there's a lot of support around the $1.11 range, $1.12. So that's where I'd love to pull a position and start my position there. And again, if it comes down, continue writing down with it and work my way up. So after doing a little bit of digging on Siren to see why they're having such an increase in volume all of a sudden, the only thing I could really find was this: purchase and securities. An SEC 4 form is the purchase and securities of the insider buys and trades. So I went through these. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are 9 buys all in January 2021, and they were all buys. None of them were sells. So this is the only thing that's really kind of giving me a little bit of hope with this company going forward, is that they have so many insider buying that this thing could be something to look at, or at least add to the watch list. So again, if you look over at the chart itself, if it pulled down to the 98 cents, that's where I'd really start seeing a lot of value, and that's where I may just right click on it, add alert, and then it will tell me if it starts to hit $1, crossing down, create the alert, and there we go. So now it will send me a text message tomorrow morning or at any time if this thing starts to cross below that line. And again, that's where I'm really going to start to see value, and that's where I think this thing could take off. This thing could very well continue to go, up, and if it did, then so be it. So with all the insider buying lately, it kind of gives me a little hope on the future of this company. So it's something that I kind of like. Now, financially, I don't think this company is in extremely great position. If we go over to their future growth, or I'm sorry, if we go to their finance health, from judging from simplywallstreet.com, we have short-term assets 17 million, short-term liabilities 17 million, long-term assets 47 million, long-term liability 32 million. So they're going to have to do an offer, and they're going to have to do something to raise capital, I'm sure. So beware of that. So I wouldn't I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket. But this thing comes down to the 98 cent range or around there. That's where I may enter into a small position and see what happens. So that's CYRN. Let's take a look at the next one. All right, guys. Next ticker we're going to look at is FUSEF, Fuse Cobalt. This thing was trading at 6 cents on Friday. It went up 31%. It's up 2% an hour, which does not matter. I don't know why that's on here. I'll remove that. Weekly performance, it's up 40%. Monthly performance, it's up 214%. This thing has been exploding. If you were in on this a while back, you're up 214% right now, just a month ago. So right now on the day chart, we're looking at 65 RSI. So this thing's starting to trend in the overbought area, and that makes sense for all these percentages. Now, the average volume for the last 30 days is around 500,000 shares traded. Average volume in the last 10 days is 1.17 million shares traded. So that's an increase by a lot. And then volume on Friday alone was 1.36 million. This is the non-energy minerals sector. So let's take a look at this one. All right, guys, we got pulled up FUSEF, Fuse Cobalt Incorporated. If you look at this chart, we're looking at a 4-hour chart, so we're seeing some of the after hours movement. But if you look at this, we're looking at this thing just was trading sideways around a penny to 2 pennies for the longest time, and then it just snuck up to about, let's see where it hit a high of 8 cents. So you went from 1 penny to 8 cents within almost a month's time, basically. So that's pretty amazing. Anybody who's in that, congratulations. Now I'm looking for a pullback on this one. As you see, we had a big run up on the 4-hour chart with a sell off to follow, and then we caught ourselves a little bit of buyers here, and we have our little bit of buying power. Now, I'm looking to see where this thing ends. This thing ended at 6 cents. This down here is around 4 cents, 5 cents. If we could get this around 4 cents or less, I think there's a lot of value in this one. I like this one a lot, and I'm going to show you why now.